So we'll begin with the Sunrisers, and I think Nikhil will be the one who will be having the first dabs at Sunrisers. So Nikhil, off you go. How would you summarize this season?
Started from the top and now we are at the bottom. Uh, one of the top contenders for everybody post the auction, and been a proper anti GT of last year, where everybody thought that GT will not do and they went on to win. They said everybody thought SRS should do well, and they ended up at the bottom. They've had lots and lots of issues. Some of the issues either Aiden Makram is not aware of. So hopefully he can consult the management first and they can decide what's the issue. So having said that, I think the kind of squad that they had, all of us bought into it, that great depth, everything is there. They have potential good replacements. But it was a case of first hand experience of a captain and a coach not always being in sync of what they want to be. You can see on the screen points 8, position 10. I mean, they have less points than the position. Of course, it just sums up the season for them. The batting average, the bowling ranking, batting ranking, nothing to boast of. Boundary count as well, 4s, 36s, 9. I mean, you could count who's hit those sixes for them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been
So
that
actually,
bad.
just to explain this boundary count, which we'll have for every team, this sort of tells us the difference between the number of fours that they hit versus the number of fours that were hit against them. So a boundary four count of minus 30 means that the opposition ended up hitting 30 more fours than what Sunrisers hit, and nine more sixes than what they hit. So they were net negative on both fours and sixes.
Yep. And those fours actually also tell you that they fail to bridge gaps, whatever you want to call it, however way you want to look at it. More numbers, 23 players they tried, joint most for any side this season. They tried 7 opening pairs, so they also had the random generator that few other teams are having to open. Uh, no batter in top 10, of course, in top 30 apart from Klassen. Nobody who could you could tell that this is the wicket taker of the side. Markante started very well and then they just tapered off. Eventually, they ended up being a side who doesn't know who's their top three, who's their strike bowler, who's their power play bowler. They hyped up Adil Rashid but did not play him at all because Markante was doing well, but then they hardly use Akil Hussain. It's been a season of it's like you can't pinpoint what went wrong because nothing went right for them, but I just felt it was a lack of identity that what they want to try in terms of how they approach things. It wasn't that they were a better sides batting first or batting second. A lot of their failures came against left arm spin, which again was very obvious because they had a plethora of right handers. The one good left hander they had, Abhishek Sharma, they played him and then they dropped him. So it's like everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and I hope I can talk about Brook because otherwise,
Yeah,
then he'll
yeah.
tell me why am I talking about him.
Yeah, I mean, so before we move on to the silver linings, I'll just say out loud a few numbers. So, like you said, that they tried 23 players, and out of which only Bhuvi was the one who played all the games.
Yeah,
And Makram and Tripathi were the ones who played 13 each. Apart from that, no one played even 13 games. So, there was a lot of the game of dancing chairs that was played. Their main key batters, Makram, Tripathi, Brook, and Mayank, all averaged in the early 20s, and everyone had a strike rate in the 120s. So, a lot of issues there. Any silver lining that Nikhil you saw in their overall season, apart from the obvious one, which is Henrik Klassen?
yeah, I think that was obviously the best silver lining for them. I actually expected a lot of Aiden Makram as well, but having come off a very good SA20, so again, it is a lot of season of defying your own expectations. So in that sense, Mayank Pandey did very well to start the tournament well, but then again, you felt that he lacked support and the usage of people at times. I mean, you thought Umran could be used better. You felt okay. Marco Jansen did have some glimpses that okay, with a new ball, he could give you 2 3 wickets very early regularly, but that always did not uh, transform into consistent wicketing, and the lack of runs from him as well. So I think Klassen was definitely the biggest positive for them. Some runs here and there for Mayank. A Brooks century actually just cost them a lot more than benefited them, I felt. Had he not hit the century, it would have been easier for them to drop him. But again, like it is with big signings, you try and fit the player. which is where a credit to Mumbai that they shelved the idea of let's not overuse green. I think they were too fixated with wanting to use Brook. But as I said, I think it's a first season problem for Lara and Markham. Uh, Potential releases, I think they may release a lot or they may not release anyone because it has to depend on what they want to do. I think once they sort out a plan that this is how we want to play, this is how the team will function, then you can look at potential releases because everybody has been a bits and pieces here and there.
Mm, yeah, I mean, before we sort of talk about the potential releases, just to throw back that they still have 6.5 crore left in their purse, and but they don't have any slot left. So to make some slots available, they'll have to release a few players. Do you guys think Mayank at 8.25 crore is worth it, and Karthik Tyagi at 4 crores? I know he didn't play a lot, but I mean, what are your thoughts on both of those players? Because apart from that, I don't really feel that there is an ardent need for them to sort of chop and change. Because I mean, let's all agree, right? There isn't an analyst in the world who would have said that SRS did not have the
Yeah,
best option.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Mayank is somebody that they, I hope they back at least for another season and give him a consistent role. I mean, you can't push him at 6 and then get him out of the side and then try things. I think they need to
Hmm.
just fixate on one thing that okay, this is Mayank's role. He gets 14 games no matter what. Keep Mayank and Abhishek at the top and then see how you want to shape your overseas batters because that has been the problem for them. So I hopefully Mayank gets another game because if you send him out in the market and then look to get him back, I don't think it'll work out. Somebody will always take him at a price that you may not want to. And with Karthik Tyagi, I hope he's handled well. It's a shame that a fast bowling lineup like SRH did not always have the right bearings or the right plans at times. So and Karthik was unlucky, of course, in the last game. But I think there is scope, there is potential. Hopefully, they can hang on to a specific plan, and then let's see where it takes you.
So, just to sum up this SRH chatter before we move to Anirudh and Gurkirat for their thoughts, just one more stat that I want to tell our viewers that SRH as a spin bowling unit took the joint lowest wickets, and there was absolutely nothing to talk about in the spin bowling department outside of Mayank Markande. So, yeah, that sort of sums up their season. Anirudh, Gurkirat, do you guys have anything to add to what was
Yeah.
discussed?
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to this in the next season, right? I'm slightly worried about Abhishek Sharma because it feels to me like he's stagnating as a player. Like he's neither here nor there. And I think considering they've heavily invested in him, I still have my doubts over Abhishek Sharma whether he is the opener they are looking for or the opener they need because I think the jury is still out on Abhishek Sharma despite the kind of season he had last year. He had a few good knocks, but again, it feels to me like Abhishek Sharma's 2022 was like more like Prabh Simran's 2023, and it's the follow-up season that was always going to be important for Abhishek Sharma, and unfortunately, he was not able to follow his 2022 up with anything substantial this year. So that is one area. If I'm SRS, I'll be slightly concerned about because again, you have invested in him heavily and he solves a lot of problems. But if he does not end up working out, then that creates a lot of problems for you. And yes, we all were I think surprised at the mega auction itself when they did not go for Chehel, for example, right? They did not go. They could have easily gone for a Chehel or some other Indian leg spinner, but they chose not to. And Maya Markande sort of half clicked for them. So it is again at the top of their priority list should be getting a proper leg spinner if there is one in the auction, and ideally Indian. This is easier said than done because Indian leg spinners who are like proper quality come at a premium. So it won't be easy to like A, identify them, B, pick them. So hopefully for them they scout someone like what KKR did with Suyesh Sharma. Hopefully SRS gets someone like him so that they could solve a bit of their issues next year. And are we talking about potential releases now, or will Nikhil
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah. I
it?
mean, now we can. I mean, we can finish off SRH by discussing
Yeah,
your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, and finally, when it comes to potential releases, I feel they need to let go Janssen. I really don't think he is the greatest of fits for T20 cricket at this stage in his career. At least, I don't think they will kind of regret it. So, and they have to take a call on Karthik Tyagi, obviously, because it's doing no favors for either party. It's like Tyagi is not benefiting from being spending like 1.5 months on the bench for SRH, and SRH are not benefiting from playing Karthik Tyagi like 2 or 3 matches a season because his lines seem to be very erratic. His discipline seems to be like completely gone, and he seems to be down in confidence. So again, he is a talent, but if it's not working out, then unfortunately you have to let a player go. So that is one player I'm thinking they might let go. And contrary to popular belief, I don't think they will touch any of their foreign batters right now. I think they will keep Brook even though it's 13 crore they spent on him, because I see him as a project player. Maybe one more season and maybe they might not retain him, but surely not. They're not releasing him after one bad season. Especially he showed that he can do something with that century he scored at Eden. So like you said, Somesh pointed out a very important factor about the number of slots remaining. So I completely expect them to let go all of their fringe Indian players like Sanveer Singh. Maybe Nitish Reddy could get a gig, but because he showed good promise, so I expect them to let go of Sanveer Singh. Even Vivran Sharma, I think they won't retain him. I don't think. In case they want to free up space, that is right. You won't always keep slots open. So if you have to shave off some of the slots and have 5 6 slots going into the auction, and then I see some easy targets to be released like Sanveer Singh and Vivrant Sharma, probably Anmol Preet Singh as well. Then potentially Karthik Tyagi and maybe Janssen, so that's like 5, and maybe Akil Hossain they might release because they have not used him at all. So one of Adil Rashid or Akil Hossain is gone in my opinion, so that will free up like 7 slots, and they could, you know, think forward after that. So
And what about Umran Malik?
keep him. I mean, again, one not sure what's happening behind the scenes. That is always a
Akram.
factor with SRH. But if it comes between Karthik Tyagi and Umran Malik has played for India as recently as Jan 2023, if I'm not wrong, and he could be a player who could be nurtured by the management itself, if not the SRH management, the Indian management. So he could always end up clicking. But Karthik Tyagi, I don't think is anywhere near the picture. So I think he's the safer of the two players to release, in my opinion. So yeah, good Kiran, what do you think?
Fair enough. No, I tend to agree with most of the things that the two of you have said. I was a little split on Mayank being retained or not, but I see the logic that Nikhil's come up with, because uh, it won't be easy to buy him back from the auction. So yeah, and Hyderabad is the kind of surface where you think someone like Mayank can do well. It's not the most difficult batting pitch in the country. So there's that. So yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, most of the things. I, s- I I genuinely think that they might be the, like we were discussing yesterday, that they might be the worst side, worst side in the IPL history, who had so many resources but finished at the bottom. So hopefully, uh, I think they should keep everything the same, but just make one or two people accountable and let only those one or two people run the team. Two would be best, because sometimes you need a second opinion, and because it is very easy for a single person who's thinking in one way to get caught up in his own ideas and not think outside those realm of possibilities. So probably have two people, maybe the captain and the coach, think about it and then let them run it, but just give them that authority or accountability, or else you'll see what Markram, the kind of body language that Markram was displaying. He just, it didn't feel like that he wanted to captain to me in the last few games. It was like they were just going through the motion. So hopefully nothing of that. And yeah, hopefully next year it's a revival of the franchise, because they've been one of the most consistent franchises in between, and they've done well. But right now it's just not helping them, their fans, or even the league, because you don't want one or two teams to be out from the picture just from the very beginning. You want the contest to be there. So that's what I'll hope for.
Yeah. And one more thing I'll just add. I think the priority for them, the management should be they need to sit down and figure out a way to get the best out of their young Indian players, the Indian core they have, because they have such a core with such a wonderful potential that most teams would kill for. They have Abhishek Sharma, they have Rahul Tripathi, they have Abdul Samad, they have Karthik Tahir, they have Umran Malik, they have Natarajan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. That's like seven starters I've named. Like most teams, like RCB, teams like you know. More, I mean, KKR and all these teams would kill to have such a core. Ultimately, but it does not mean anything if you cannot get the best out of your players. And like I talked about Abhishek Sharma stagnating, but look at Abdul Samad. He's played 3 seasons now, and he's nowhere close to realizing his potential. I mean, he's played like you can count it's like 3 4 good knocks in 3 years. That's it. And we know that when he's especially performing well for Jammu Kashmir. In the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, which is the same case for like someone like Abhishek Sharma, who's performing exceptionally well for Punjab and SMAC. So you have to figure out if he can do it at that level. What is holding him back from at least being a 6.5/7 out of 10 player for our franchise? What is going wrong? So that is something they need to prioritize. I don't know if they have to hire an extra Indian support staff who can help them with that, or they need to take lessons from a CSK or like even Mumbai or even Punjab this season to brainstorm how you can get the best out of your Indian players. But unless and until they do that, I don't think they're going to make big strides. Maybe yeah, they could improve, but the moment the only way they progress really forward from here is not by buying more players or adding more firepower on the foreign side, but getting the most out of their Indian players.